welcome. Today we have the pleasure to welcome Carol Liu, Vice President of Human Resources at Christian Dior China. It's a pleasure, Carol. And to this new episode of Decision Leaders. With over 2 decades of experience in leading global organizations, Carol has shaped talent development in organizations and strategy across region and industries. Uh, Her career, as we all know, reflects the rare blend of strategic visioning and operational depth, from building sales teams and managing production sites to driving culture evolution in organizations. In this conversation, Carol, we will explore how global HR leaders make decisions. In this case, how Carol has shaped the design in organizational structures and management models to enable a better decision making in the organization. So let me start, Carol, with asking you a very broad and open question about uh, your learnings in decision making in your career. So, first of all, how would you define your personal decision making style, and what learnings can you share with us about those styles that you have evolved maybe in your life?
Sure, sure. It's a pleasure to be joining all of you. And this is a very interesting topic. So if I have to describe my own decision-making style, I think three aspects. One is efficient, and then the second one is sensitive, and the third one is with the end in mind. So I'll quickly go through one of them. So efficient. I'm not a patient person, so I like to make decisions fast. It bothers me if the decisions are not made, and so things don't move on. So that's the first one. And because of my job, so I have to make a lot of sensitive decisions. So because it impacts people, and human beings. People are in my decisions, so I have to consider many perspectives before I make decisions. And I think I'm trying to do that because of my job, because of my profession. And then the third one is because we operate in a corporate world. So I think with the end in mind is always a very important factor in my decision making, because I firmly believe that there is no right or wrong or black and white decision. So, as more and more senior I get, I realize that it's hard to find an absolutely right decision. So, but our common goal is the end, the targets, or whatever we need to deliver together. So, with the end in mind, is always driving a key decision process in my own experience.
Wonderful, and absolutely, I agree with you that there is not a right or wrong decision, and everybody will shape their decision-making process by learning and trying in this case. And
Yes.
and following this idea, do you see any specific challenge in decision making in industries like luxury or fashion, and also if you see any difference between luxury and fashion and maybe fast moving consumer goods, because there might be different timings in the decision making process, right?
Okay, so I think if we talk about the difference between fashion and FMCG or consumer goods, I think we have to start from the model or the business, model, yeah, that we have in both industries. So for FMCG, the demands is based on consumer insights. So in consumer goods company, we do a lot of data. We work on data. We value analysis, insights. So people are fascinated or attracted to a lot of numbers analysis, and we have tons of meetings just to make sure that we take the human bias aside, and then we look at the big data, and we really value consumers' voice. And so consumer is the boss, is what I keep hearing in all the consumer goods company. But then the interesting thing in luxury or in fashion is that the demand for the product or services are something that consumers have never thought of. So, it's not based on what consumer needs today. It's based on what we want consumer to be inspired or to aspire to be or to get. So there's no database. The decision is not, okay, we look at the data and we do analysis. No, no, no. The decision is really based on what we want to introduce to the consumer in this season, in next year. So recently we had a new designer, Jonathan Anderson. And I mean, that's a big news. That's the most important decision the company can make, because whatever he launches, that will be the business. That will be the products that we sell to our consumer. So, it's very, very different model. That's what I experienced. Yes.
Absolutely. And I assume, interesting point, because I assume that in the way you shape your consumer's decision is quite different too.
Yes.
And,
so it's even more so about storytelling, about, inspiring the consumer. It's not just to ask them, what do you want now? Or, what do you think? But it's about where you want to go and what kind of different world you can experience if you buy the products.
You have the unique experience of knowing how companies in China make decisions, but also you happen to know how companies in North America make decisions because of your past in Coca-Cola. And now you are facing how European companies make decisions. And I assume there might be some differences there.
Very different. Okay. So the easier one, and let me start from something I'm familiar with. So in American companies, or both American companies that I work for, again, it's about the strategy or the vision and what we want to achieve together. And then we find a way to use data analysis and insight, some objective base to make decisions. So, we're trying to take the people bias away when we make decisions so that we can scale up. So that's my experience in American companies. And in Chinese companies, it's also very, very easy, because most Chinese companies are young, right? Because of the development of the country. So the founders, the bosses make decisions, which is also simple, Most of the people don't make decisions in the company. They are not paid to make decisions. They are paid to follow the decisions their bosses make. And so especially like Chinese private-owned company, it's very obvious. So only one or few people make the decisions. And then in the European company, or maybe in French company or Italian companies, because in LVMH we also have a lot of Italian brands, and I do see a bit difference. But in general, if I have to overly simplify the decision making, I think it's about emotion, personal bonding, or historical heritage. Like, because the industry or the products we sell, if you simply look at the product itself, it doesn't cost them. I mean, it's impossible for you to pay that much money for one bag or one piece of clothes. But then it's about the heritage, the culture, the emotion bonding behind that product that creates the value. So a lot of decisions are not process driven, and a lot of decisions are very people driven, emotion driven, which is something I'm still learning. I'm still find it very interesting.
And taking into account these differences, and specifically from your role in HR, how do you see HR enabling this decision-making process in organization? I assume that it might be also different between European and North American companies.
Yes. So let me start from, I think, what drives, because one of the questions you have is, how can we make effective or the right decision in the company. And my own belief is that the company needs to have a very clear vision and purpose. And especially when the company gets bigger and bigger, the founders or the CEOs don't get to interact with most of the people. And how do we make sure that everybody is making the decisions toward the same goal? So I think vision and purpose and strategy are important, and that comes to HR's role in the process. And so I believe HR owns the culture in the company, the way of working, how people connect, what kind of people we recruit, what kind of people we develop, and how we shape people to form a culture that supports our strategy and vision. So that's my belief of HR's role. And then, so coming back to your question, so what's HR's role there? And then that's we need to put in process, or we need to build a way of working. We need to find the people who fit in that culture, and so we can make an effective decision in the company. So like European and American companies are totally different. So then we find different people. Then we have different way of connecting people. And then the way of working will be different. The way we reward people is different. And that's how I see HR's role in it.
That's a very good, that's a wonderful point. And let me double click on that, because I assume that also the competencies, the capabilities that those different profiles will need different challenges. Like, I assume that if in North American companies consensus is a need, then the competencies might be driven to generate that consensus.
Correct.
What would you say that are the most critical competencies on an American company and a European or a Chinese company? But they might be quite different, right?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Because besides culture, I think competency or capability is another thing that HR needs to lead. So yes. So when I look at the competence model in FMCG or in American companies, I see a lot. I think we value technical experts. No matter which functions you're in, like what you are truly good at, what you are doing, and very analytical, very scientific minds are appreciated. Very objective minds are appreciated, and then also collaboration, or somehow like the community sense is strong in American companies. So it translates into the competence model. You have to be really good at what you're doing, and you have to be aggressive, if that's the right word, or you have to be ambitious. At the same time, you also need to find a way to work with different people. Diversity is important. So so both hard skill and soft skills are very well-rounded and balanced. And in European companies, I have to be honest, competence model is not that common in the company. So it's and you're right. I mean, one of the first things I asked for was, okay, so how do we evaluate people? What's the competence model, and how do we reward people? And well, we're still building the competence model, and not just Dior. The entire LVMH group is trying to build that, and that's why I'm hired, I guess, because they are trying to introduce some of the American model into the company, because the group gets so much bigger.
And let me ask you regarding that point. As you mentioned that you, in some way, you were hired to bring in some aspects, I assume, some ideas from companies like, as you described, North American companies like Coca-Cola to this different culture. What learnings would you bring without putting at risk the new culture that is so different between one company and another? Is there any specific learning or tips that you can bring from one company without putting at risk the other one? How are you thinking that?
By the way, I'm still learning. So yes, and that's I think sometimes slower makes it faster. So that's my learning. What I mean is that, so, my intuition, or when I first got into this role, and the very natural reaction is that, okay, what am I going to do in the first 90 days? I even got the book out, the first 90 days, the book out, try to make sure that I deliver something within 3 months. And, I have step by step or plans to be successful in the beginning. And I was trying, and I talked to a lot of people, and I was trying to achieve a lot. And I was trying to prove myself that, I can contribute. But at the end, I keep hearing people or bosses telling me, slow down, take your time, understand the culture first, learn Dior, learn the products, learn, the heritage first. And then I was like, okay, but, I'm a senior leader. I have a big package here. I need to contribute. But no, nobody is rushing me to contribute something, but they want me to be immersed in the culture. They want me to be part of that before I do anything. So that's why. So I was invited not just to the store, but to the exhibition, and to all the cultural and soft elements of the business instead of delivering actual work. So that's my learning. Like, I cannot rush into things and try to deliver something without being seen as part of the culture. And I truly understand fashion and the brand.
That's a very, very deep learning,
Yes.
and more if you're used to trying to deliver your value that you're bringing from outside, right?
Yes. Yes. So somebody said to me, Anna, I'm too Americanized somehow. Yeah. I'm not saying it's
Absolutely.
good or bad. It's just an expression.
No, but I think it's very clear. And regarding, because I know that you have the experience in applying different decision making methodologies and tools in organization design with decision centric methodologies and
Yes.
role sorting based on decision making or decision making routines in organization. But I assume that in this new culture that you are now involved, those methodologies also would need to be different, right?
Yes. But it's not that different or hard. 'Cause, so I was also reflecting on my decision now versus when I was much younger, when I just started my career. And I think the difference when I get more senior, older in my career is that the number of decision is much more, like, a lot more than before. I have to make tons of decisions every day. And then the impact or the sophistication of the decisions I make are, very different than before. So I find myself making a lot of decisions now based on experience or my reactions, my intuitions, or the people I talk to.
Absolutely. And regarding that experience that you have, uh, could you give me an example of a good decision that you have made, or at least a decision that you are glad of having made a decision, or glad about the result that you obtain, or, and if you want, a decision in which you are not glad at all, that I say, I mean, I learned from that, but I suffer also, and I have some learnings there to understand.
Maybe I start from the wrong decision I made. I had to change it because
Absolutely. In
hopefully
your
most of decisions I'm making are right decisions. That's why I'm here. So there are many examples I can quote, but I think it's helpful to share what one big mistake I made, and I literally had to change a big decision. So we announced to cancel the shuttle bus services uh, at one point of time. And we announced it at a town hall together with my boss, the president of the business. And we tell the team that, we're not taking back the investment, so we're going to give you allowances, but we are canceling the shuttle bus. And that was not a, that was, as a, that's why I say HR decisions, I wouldn't say big or small, but it impacts people a lot because, people, and you know where the company is, it's very far from the city. So a lot of people rely on the shuttle buses to get to the office. And we didn't make the decision easily. So of course we work with the finance and all the function heads on the data, the productivity, cost efficiency, and how we can translate those into other investment. Anyway, so it was not quick decision. It took us months to make that decision. And so that's why we announced it at the town hall, because we were confident with our decision. But then we got backfire so bad that we had to reverse the decision. And the first person or the first the first challenge we got was from the union, and
Mm.
and the union is like, there's no way we're going to support this if you still continue doing this, and then we're going to go on a strike or whatever, all the things that union would say to the company. And so anyway, long story short, at the end we had to go back to our employees and say, okay, we're keeping the shuttle bus and we're reevaluating it. And that was one of the most memorable moments in my career because I was already very senior and I had to like undo my decision. And then of course, so I think a lot, I reflect a lot on what happened. So I guess because we think data and process or consensus among the senior leaders or a smaller group of people will keep us safe from, any consequences of the decisions. And so we were confident in a way that we had data, money, everything to support us. But at the end, it still didn't work. So two learning I got from it. I think diversity of the decision making is so critical. Yes, I mean, I was talking to maybe the most intelligent people in the company or the most senior people, but anyway, it's a people decision. So it's not just about seniority or intelligence. It's about people's life, and we need to consider different levels or different groups of people in the organization.
Thanks a lot. And would you share an example of a good decision? I want any decision that you are proud of.
Yes. So, okay. Let me think. So, again, another belief I have is that decision is not the end goal. It's just a means to achieve it. So the good decisions I think I make are more engaging and helping people to get to where we want to go. So so let me just give an example of maybe a recent example that I had. So we are doing some restructuring, and then and again, it's never about right or wrong or black and white. Every decision has its benefit and consequence. That's my belief. So then when I got into the role, this restructuring was already happening, and so people were waiting for me to come and make a lot of decisions. And so from all the good and bad learnings I had in the past, I knew, I'm so new to the organization. I don't even know the culture completely. I cannot make the decisions alone. So I engage a lot of people, especially my own team. And so the first meeting I had with them, I said, okay, now we have to make a decision though, X, Y, Z, and how people are impacted and who's in which roles. And they're like, okay, so tell me what we're going to do. I said, no, I don't know what we're going to do, but let's discuss and let's list down all the all the impacts that the decision will have on the people, on the leaders, on the organization. And then people were a bit in shock or didn't know what to do. Like, just tell me what to do. But then at the end, when we got to the end of it, or when we made the decisions or announced it, and I didn't get any pushback, and people were impacted, but I found myself getting the support, the help from my colleagues, from my team to solve the problem without me getting involved, because that was not my decision alone.
That's a very good point. And let me ask you one last question, and thank you for your time again, Carl. But let me ask you something about the future of decision making. And I know that you have been working in with AI solutions in HR a lot. Uh, so I assume that you have a point of view on that. How do you see specifically AI or technology is shaping the way the people in organizations are making decisions today? What do you see differently from our past
Right.
regarding this?
So when I was still in FMCG, I think the difference was much more obvious. So I do see how AI improves the efficiency of the work, like, significantly, and people talk about it. You know how we are, how we can be helped by the AI in the meetings, in the summaries, in the in the meeting notes, and the work PPT, no matter it's PowerPoint or Word, everywhere. It was everywhere. Um, and so productivity and efficiency were significantly improved. So at one point, I was talking to all my peers and HR colleagues outside of the company, and say, is there a way that we see productivity improvement opportunity in this? But as time goes by, I know it hasn't been long, but as time goes by, still, I don't see the actual impact in the corporate world. Through AI. So I don't know why. I'm not an expert in this, but no company is improving productivity through AI, at least not in China. And coming back to fashion or luxury industry, and honestly, I don't see people talk about that now in the company. So, and I cannot assume, right? So I asked AI, I asked ChatGPT. So what's the point of view of AI's impact on luxury, on fashion industry? And so the answer I got from AI, and I'm going to read it. So, like, luxury retail is less impacted by AI than other industries because of the emphasis on human touch, and also brand heritage, craftsmanship, and the inclusiveness, and the customization of the.
Wow.
So it's harder for AI to get into this world because the products we're selling are about human touch, about craftsmanship, and about customization, and it's just exclusiveness. So it's very different. So I
Very interesting.
don't have a perfect answer for you. I'm sorry.
Carol, wonderful conversation. Any other tip or message that you would like to share with people that are trying to improve their decision making capability or the capability of their companies to make better decisions?
No, I think I shared a lot already, but I guess one thing I learned, or what my bias, and you can sense that in the conversation. I guess it's decision. Don't look at decision making as something, the goal that we want to achieve. It's a wonderful engagement tool for us to unleash people's power, to work with different people, and to be bigger or better collective group than individual. So I guess that's my bias, and then and this is an important topic to work on. So, and I'm glad to be part of it. So, thank you for inviting me, and I enjoyed the conversation a lot, and I look forward to see the results of it, and because I think what you're doing is it's not going to be replaced by AI for sure, because it's going to be a very a very critical element in human behaviors for sure. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. For me, it's an honor for being able to share this conversation with you. So thank you very much. I think that many things will be replaced by AI. It's a matter of time, as you mentioned before, but
Yes,
we are
I
trying
also agree.
to go through this evolution and this transformation together with people and technology in a blended future, right? We don't know how and when, but for sure it will be a blended intelligent in the future. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Carol. It's a huge pleasure, really an honor to having this conversation with you. So thank you very much.